Outside in. This is a forum for accomplished speakers outside of our organization to come and talk to us about topics ranging from leadership, technology, products. And today we have got the honor and pleasure of having Nivruti Rai with us. She is the Senior Director at Intel Corporation. And she's going to talk to us today about innovation, leadership and challenges. And as you might be aware, this is a hot topic in most of the leadership circles. But before Shell and I can give away the stage to Nivruti, just a little bit in terms of her introduction. Nivruti graduated from in an MS in Operations Research and Electrical Engineering at the Oregon State University, Corvallis, Oregon, USA. She joined Intel in 1994. There she has worked on developing innovative products and methodologies for circuit design, computer architecture, and project management. She was nominated a Principal Engineer in Digital Enterprise Group of Intel Corporation in 2001, which is the second highest technical recognition. Nivruti has several patents pending, filed internationally for recognition of her work. She has also authored more than 15 technical papers in integrated circuit designs, methodologies, and operations research. She moved back with her family to India 7 years ago and is now the senior most woman executive in Intel India and the senior most in technical accomplishments. She is the Senior Director of Systems on Chip Research and Development Group of over 500 people for mobile platform technologies, for handheld laptop computers, home entertainment and embedded systems, working to make high-performance computers lighter, faster, and with lower power requirements. And here is where it gets really interesting. She was nominated the first dual citizen of India by the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh due to her technical accomplishments and decision to move back to India. She and her team have adopted a village code called Bagaluru for the past 4 years, where they have been involved in education, hospitals, social benefits, hygiene improvement, and a lot. Nivruti Rai for us, guys. I would like to call upon Shell to kind of describe his association with Nivruti.
So I don't know whether the record turnout here is because of my email or Nivruti or Vishal. So we figure it out after the end of the session. So actually, I really didn't know a whole lot about what Nivruti has done in Intel, honestly, because I know her and Sunit, her husband, very well. They're very good friends of ours. And we've always kind of met in a social gathering at airports and lounges and all that. But so it was a big surprise that about the dual citizenship. So I would like to know more about it later. But I'm really delighted to have her. We've been trying to get her to come to Sabre for a long time, but with all the travel schedules and all, we finally managed to do this. I know she's again on the road sometime next week. So I'm just very, very excited to have her here. And I think the topic here is probably a hot topic for everyone, whether you're Intel, Sabre, any other corporation, right? We constantly have these challenges about innovation versus our commitments to customers, products, all of that. And I think it'll be good for us to get a perspective from a reputed company like Intel and one of their leaders on how they look at innovation and how do they approach that, right? So we will have some question and answers at the end, right? So let's go into your presentation. Really welcome again to Sabre.
That was a lot of introduction, and I truly believe that I really don't deserve that much admiration or accomplishment. I really feel that I am just a very simple person and not much to my accomplishment. But the one thing that I'm proud of, which I did not share in my bio, is I come from a family of 3 daughters and 1 son. And my father was a very hard-working person, just like you. Having 3 daughters to marry was a very, very challenging task for him. And therefore, what my mom decided to do is get us polished in every possible thing that will make us more marketable. She got us to learn music. So I have masters in Hindustani classical music. She made us learn dancing. So I have bachelors in North Indian Kathak dancing. And that was, trust me, truly the hardest thing that I have accomplished in my life. I had to dance in front of, one of the great dancers in Kathak. His name was Lachu Maharaj. And it was so hard for me to perform in front of people, whose life depended on dancing. And here I was making myself more marketable. So I think that was the hardest accomplishment for me. Intel is just a passion, and I just live through it. And that's how I feel about it. There's nothing different that I do in Intel than just being myself. So, Shell talked about leadership and innovation and challenges associated with it. I truly feel that both leadership and innovation are about people and mindsets. So when I'm in my role, I actually just be me. Because I have a certain mindset that I'll share with you, what I really do. And I am a person who just lives their life in Intel and everything else flows. So I love doing what I do. I don't work hard in my company. I just keep doing what I absolutely love doing and be myself. I'm a big risk taker. I am not scared. I've never been scared. I was just telling Khan when we were coming, he said, hey, you're going to give this talk. What do you feel and things like that. I told him, growing up, I told you I've learned music and dancing. In front of strangers, my mom would say, go sing. And that's how I, got this confidence of standing in front of people and not having the stage fright. So I sang since I was 5 years old, whatever song, like I remember I sang Dawn song, Ye Mera Dil Yarda Deewana, in front of so many people, and I could dance also, and people would laugh at me. And I was thinking, oh, that's entertaining, they like me. So that's a little bit of introduction on myself. And I'm really passionate about the topic that I'm going to share with you. So when, Vishal said, hey, give me a little bit of description on what you're going to talk about. I said, write whatever you want. I'm going to make sure that I address that, as long as they are part of leadership and innovation. So thank you very much for being here. Vishal told me there are 100+ people here. 100 hours being spent. I truly want to make it worth your time. And please interrupt me. I'm not one of those who wants to wait till question answers in the end. If there's something that really is bothering you, stop me and ask me. Okay? So a little bit of clouds here. I'm here. Our focus has been a lot of hardware development. When I say cores, we do a lot of CPUs, different types of CPUs that go into different systems. We are struggling to get into phones and tablets. You all are aware of it. There's hardly any. Does anybody have an Intel phone?
Solo.
That's the challenge we have. By the time I come here next time, I want at least a few hands. I haven't performed. So that's what we're trying to get into. And software is a very critical part of Intel, which is not in our DNA. Our DNA has been hardware. And that's part of the struggle, because the system is comprised of hardware and software. Whereas when I was trying to, I know Shell for a long time, but I did not really know what his company actually did. High level I knew, airline, reservation, Travelocity, that was it. And when I started learning the history, it was very exciting. And you will see why your history is so important, because I'm going to end with something that relates to your history. So I learned about your airline solutions, your large travel network. It was very exciting to see 1 billion people access all the solutions that you guys have provided. Amazing. 1.21 is the population of India. That's the number of people that access. The other interesting thing, and it has to do with us and you. 10,000 people, at least in few years ago, I think 4 years ago, you were 10,000 people across 60 different offices and geographies. And your revenue was, back then, something around 3 billion. I truly hope you are doubled now. I truly hope you are 6. We are 100,000 people across many different nations, and we have $60 billion revenue. Very interesting that, Intel company is known for so many years and lived on innovation, but the revenue to employee ratio is same as yours. Amazing. And I bet you Very many people know about Intel, but fewer know about Sabre. But look at your productivity. It's the same. But I want to encourage you to do more. And I'll show you why I believe you can do more. Much more than what me and Intel can do. So this was a little bit of, trying to tell you that there is a linkage between what you guys do and what we do. And like I said, I'll bring it later on. I actually went through a couple of trainings. This was one of the discussions I had in Stanford. McKinsey was presenting this analysis. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this. If you are aware, then I'll skip through some of the topics. But if you aren't, then I'm going to spend some time on it. McKinsey did an analysis and talked about what are the few dimensions of leadership. What are the characteristics that make a person a leader? Before I actually show you McKinsey analysis, I'm going to give you one example. And this example is very dear to my heart because it's coming from one of the leaders I truly believed. I believe in leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, and I also believe in the leadership of Winston Churchill. And I'll weave in their ideas and their thoughts and what they did and what we can learn from them. So this story is right after India got independence, Mahatma Gandhi was giving a speech in London. And we had gotten independence. He gave his speech, the crowd, there was thousands of people turned up. But soon as he gave his speech, a few minutes later he was gone. Between the crowds, nobody could see him. He was a small statured guy and not very giant or voluminous in personality. He just vanished. There were journalists clamoring to find what is it about this diminutive leader that can attract thousands and thousands and thousands of people. But they didn't get an answer, but they got hold of Jawaharlal Nehru, who was very charismatic standing there. So they came to Jawaharlal Nehru and said, what is it about Mahatma Gandhi that attracts these thousands of people? You know what he said? That was so amazing what he said. He says, Gandhi speaks what he feels. Gandhi speaks what he feels and does what he speaks. That summed up entire leadership. He believes in what he sees a vision, he's a leader, he's visionary, he feels something and he speaks it. He does it with his heart and mind, but then he completes it with action. He does what he speaks. It goes full circle. That in one line summed up the amazing leadership qualities of Mahatma Gandhi. With that, I want to share with you what the dimensions of leadership are. There are 5 dimensions. I'm going to quickly build this slide because subsequent slide I'm going to talk about each one of them separately. So what McKinsey did is across the globe, by the way, has anybody studied this? The dimensions of leadership by McKinsey? You have? Okay. So since it's only one person, I'm going to take the liberty of sharing it with the rest of them. There was about 80 some leaders. Katharine Graham was part of it. Steve Jobs was part of it. There were many big leaders that were part of this analysis. And we'll start here. Meaning of what you are doing. You do something that you absolutely love doing and you know that there is a purpose to it. Let's say you are building something, you absolutely love developing software. You are a Perl programmer, hypothetically. And she absolutely loves doing her work that once she starts debugging her code, she spends till 3 a.m. in the night and doesn't even realize that she's hungry. And she knows that this one piece of code that I'm developing is going to go into the Sabre X.O version. That is what is meaning that you do what you do, absolutely love doing, and you know that there is a purpose. This is what Katharine Graham said, to love what you do and feel that it matters. That is what was common amongst all the leaders. Whatever they were doing, they absolutely loved doing it, and they knew whatever they were doing had a bigger, larger purpose. Managing energy. This is very exciting. So in Intel, people talk a lot about work-life balance, work-life effectiveness, managing home, managing the work. But what McKinsey said, truly there's no work-life balance. Life is a normal distribution, and if you truly want to be on the right side of the curve, you want to be, outstanding and accomplished, you have to stretch yourself as hard as possible to get to the right side. If you don't stretch yourself, you're going to be in the nice middle. So where is the balance? There's no balance. That's what McKinsey says. What they say is instead of work-life balance, look at balancing energies. So I was just talking about, you're debugging, you spend a lot of effort and energy trying to code something, and you love doing it, you didn't realize the passage of time. When you go home, and let's say you absolutely love cooking. For example, for me, I love cooking, and I also love shopping. What happens is, I'm going to give you another story. Commercial Street is a very busy market, and I love wearing saris. I went with my husband, it was Diwali time, and my husband said, let's have breakfast. So I quickly gave him cereal. He's like, let's go quickly because otherwise we'll get into the traffic. It was about 10 a.m. when we left our house. We reached Mysore Sari Udyog, and I went from one counter to another, to another, to another, to another, to another. And then my husband comes and says, hey, I'm very hungry. Shouldn't we be going and eating? I said, what are you saying? You just have cereal. He said, check your time. It was 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I had no clue how much time had passed because I was loving it. So if I spend this much time in Intel, I'm in the lab trying to debug. I'm in the lab trying to think what are the new differentiating features for my product. I am burning energy there. But when I come home, I do things, even if it is playing cricket or listening to old songs, whatever have you, anything that you absolutely love doing, you must do it, because that is when the balance of energy will happen. Because no matter how much effort I was spending in Mysore Udyog, shopping for my sari, I was actually bringing back the energy that I had lost. I lose energy in Intel when I deal with politics. I'm a manager, and politics is part of my role. It's expected. I don't even view politics as something negative, because everybody is trying to do something they believe is right, but I may believe that's wrong. So politics is part of it, but it still depletes my energy. I come home, do things that excite me, and I manage my energy. Has anybody heard of what is called flow? And I think this psychologist / sociologist, his name is very strange. His name is Csikszentmihalyi. Yeah. The minute I said complex name, you figured, right? Has anybody heard of? Can you repeat?
Csikszentmihalyi.
Yeah.
It is Mahesh Csikszentmihalyi, something like that.
Yeah. How many of you have heard? All right. By the way, I love your energy.
He's
He says, me.
He's pronounced as Mihaly, Sixth Sense Mihaly.
What is it? I was in one of the class and he said something like Mihai, Mihai, something like that. So, different, but it's a strange name, and if you look at the spelling, there's L in it, but you never say L. So he talks about flow, where his definition of flow is you keep building your skills, keep picking up challenges. Build your skills, keep picking challenges. That's what he calls flow. But flow, as McKinsey puts it, is simply managing and balancing your energy. So these leaders that were studied were very effectively doing this. Did anybody know that Steve Jobs actually loved making his own wines? He did that. That was one of the activities he did to bring back his energy. And he did something called buttery wine. I am not a wine drinker, but there is something called buttery wine. So he did his own wine making. Positive framing. I have to give you one example. I was in Intel India, I think it was already 4 years for me in Intel India. And I was working on a product. You guys don't even know the name, so it doesn't matter. One of the products I was working on, because it's internal to Intel name. But this chip went with the main CPU, and that was supposed to go into laptops and different desktops, etc. My team was supposed to take the chip and make it smaller. When you make it smaller, on one wafer you can make many more chips, which means more profit for us. But to make the chip that is already there smaller, we had to pull out some things, make some things shorter. And one particular clock drop, we left 100 micron length. As a result, we saw some functional failures. That was the hardest time in my life at Intel. However many years, 20-some years I've been with Intel. I had this product later on after the fixes was $3 billion revenue, just this product itself. When we goofed up, I had my CEO, my CPO, all the big C-level pairs. I was in the post-mortem, and he pointed his fingers at me. He said, "Priti, I want to see your focal getting impacted." For us, focal is year-end performance review. And my entire staff was standing. He said, "I want to see your focal getting impacted." It was that tough and hard for me. But what I decided was, I am coming to India. This was our chance to fix. I said, mistakes, who doesn't make mistakes? Nobody is perfect. There's no bug-free code, in my opinion. So if people make mistakes, it's my opportunity or challenge to show my leadership on how I fix this situation. What I did, I actually rolled up my sleeve. Intel doesn't allow females to be in lab ops, beyond 8 o'clock. I requested my husband to work out of Intel lobby, and every day from September to January of 2004, I was in the lab trying to help my team. I have much smarter technical people in my team now. Now all the patterns that Vishal was talking about was history, when I used to be technical. I have much smarter people, but what was important is to live the difficult life with them, to be there with them, to provide whatever little value I could. Being 3/4 level of management removed, I stayed there from September to January. We fixed it. We not only fixed it, instead of $2 million revenue, which was projected, we made 3. But I'll tell you one thing. When we were having these problems, nobody would stand up. Chipsets are huge projects. Many different geographies provide IPs, and then together we made this graphics memory controller hub, which is what I was working on. Nobody stood up because the mistake was at system level. Many people were involved. Every person pointed India, we released it. But when we fixed it, one of our, he's now called Chief Products Officer, he came to Intel India and he said, "Now where is that lady?" So he found me and said, "Yeah." He stood next to me and he said, "Now when Cantiga," this project was called Cantiga, "now when Cantiga is successful, moms and pops are emerging from everywhere." But when we were having this difficulty, everybody was pointing at this lady. So success, everybody is there with you, failure, you're alone. But what worked? What worked during such times is the positive framing. Believing in the future to be brighter and better. Making sure not just you, make sure your team goes with you. Be there with them. Live through them, because they are watching you all the time. They are looking at you even while you think that you're quietly eating your food. But they are watching you, they are learning from you. You are the role model for them all the time. So when your leader is doing something, the team is learning and team is getting from it. So what we as leaders have to do is to create that positive mindset, and rather than crumble during tough times, stand up and fight. Another good quote from Thomas Edison. I have enjoyed this telling myself and telling my team so many times. Thomas Edison used to say, "I have never failed." Nobody is going to believe it, because he must have done millions of experiments, and not everything was like that. So he says, "I have never failed, not even once. I have just learned 10,000 ways why things won't work." So there was never a failure. He learned from every single mistake. So did we. Cantina was such a wonderful opportunity for India's side. After that, it's just been higher and higher. Abraham Lincoln used to say, fail higher, fail, learn and move. Every time he failed at an election, he went and contested for a bigger election. Because he learned. So fail higher is what you must remember, and the only way to do it is the positive frame of mind. Network is another very, very important thing. I think everybody here must have heard of something called collective intelligence. So never underestimate the power of collective intelligence. So wherever possible, network. Even if your team doesn't work with his team, there are two different pieces of the pie, but you bring value the minute you know what is happening at the boundary. So many times, I have a friend who's a doctor. She asks me, what do you do every day in the late night meetings? What is it that you guys talk about? I had a tough time to explain to her, but I said, she has little boys who love playing puzzles. Those 3,000, 4,000 pieces puzzles. I said, the product I work on is like a puzzle. There are 3,000 pieces to it. And guess what? I'm only responsible for 20. There are 100,000 other people who are responsible for the remaining 1,000 pieces or more than 1,000 that are left. So unless I call into the meeting, how will I know that this puzzle is actually a Taj Mahal? And what I'm supposed to do is a little minaret sitting on one corner. If I didn't know that this minaret was part of Taj Mahal, I would have a different feeling. Now I know that this minaret has to have a boundary. It's supposed to be white in color. It has to be this length. It has to match with the other minaret. It can't be small and high. So to make sure I get a big picture, to make sure what is happening at the boundary, that's when you will provide more value to whatever product you are working on. If you remain doing the little piece that you do yourself, you will always be successful. Your manager tells you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 90% people are successful. Be happy. But if you want to be the right side 5% of people, then you need to know the big picture. You need to know what your neighboring pieces of code are doing. Who is going to use this library that you are providing? That is only possible through network. And I have heard so many times, women come and say, the guys go, to the bars, lunch, golf. I have struggled through my life. But what I do, every time I travel, people plan in the evenings, they'll do this, they'll do that, they'll go big long bathroom breaks, they'll go coffee breaks. What I do is I find myself always, whatever 10-15 minutes of break and gap I have, hallway I find one person, I talk. Obviously I know about him, he's valued to me, and I have created some conversation in my mind that he will care about listening to me. By default, he will not give me his listening ear. By default, he will just ignore me. But I have learned about him, what he does, and I am going to think smartly to say something to grab his attention. The minute he gives me his attention, I just start sharing what I have to both ways. I make it a win-win. But I first have to convince him that something isn't there for you. That's how I make conversations. I find people, I spend times, lunches, I don't do dinners often. Occasionally when I travel, I do dinners also. I don't play golf, but I do things where I get attention and time from them, for which I always go prepared. Again, I'm going to quote something from Winston Churchill, and you will see that Winston Churchill was a good leader, and I am influenced by him. He used to say, no remark you ever make is off the cuff. You always think about it. Even if you say in a joke, there is a reason behind it. So I would say something to him, and I know that there is a purpose behind it. That's how I initiate the conversation. You can initiate the conversation to win his listening ear. Even if it is personal, you find out that he loves cricket, and you know something about cricket that may, intrigue him. That's how conversation begins. So you create network to add value, to grow your own value, and in the end, grow the value of the product that you're working on. Engaging, this is something that comes harder to us because of sometimes, some cultural aspects. Growing up, I was always told by my parents, don't always say that you are good, don't always go and say, I got this rank, that rank. It's always better when somebody else says, he's a very smart kid. So my culture is not to announce the good work I did. That was the biggest shock for me when I joined Intel some 20 years ago. I had to write my focal, which is the end of the year performance, and I could not write, I did this. To make it comfortable for me, I said, we did this. And my manager truly believed we did it, and her contribution must have been 25%, the 4 of them did it. So over the years I learned that nobody has time to figure out the details of the activities you performed unless you learn. So I make an effort beyond the norms that I'm comfortable in to make sure that we announce what we did. Now it's not just me. Now I'm not actually doing anything. I'm just the necessary waste in my team. I'm the manager, and I will be held responsible for my team. So that makes me work even harder. That makes me tell I need to engage, and I need to voice. I need to talk about ownership, and if there is risk taking, I need to make sure that people are aware that if I'm taking a risk, there is chances that I might fail. But remember the Cantiga story that I shared with you? I created a slogan for my team, and I would continuously remind them of that. I said, in failures, we learn. In successes, we earn. So we don't want to be only learning because we want to be making money too. So risk taking, you have to be prepared that failures can happen. But having said that, keep the positive attitude, learn from your failures, but work towards risk taking, work towards innovation. Before I go there, have you guys heard of Peter Drucker? I'm sure most of you have. Right? He was called the father of management practices. You know what he used to say often in most of his books? He would say, the purpose of business is to create customers and new customers. And he said, how you get to do that? He said, you get to do through innovation and marketing and good leadership. He said everything else is expense. So, marketing, good innovation and leadership. I decided I'm not a marketing person, but guess what? Leadership and innovation is something that I can talk about, and that was one more reason why I chose this topic. This is something, so I shared with you the dimensions of leadership, and if you guys are interested, you can see McKinsey's analysis on the dimensions of leadership, and you will find a lot of material on this. What I have done is just simply abridged it. What I did is, while you know the characteristics of a leader, those are basic 5 characteristics of a leader. You need to be optimist, balancing your energy. But what are the 3 vectors that you have to build once you know that those are the characteristics? And by the way, all those characteristics can be learned. You don't have to necessarily be born with it. I will tell you honestly, when I was a younger and much junior employee, I would take this personally when people say, she's very aggressive, or she's a go-getter. Everything would ring a negative connotation in my mind. I think, aggressive means bad, like I'm going to kill somebody or something. And go-getter means no matter what, I do get the things done and in unethical ways. Now, it doesn't bother me. I have told myself, I've checked so many dictionaries. Aggressive means doing whatever it takes to get the job done. So I told myself, that's what aggressive is. I take it as a compliment. They tell me, You know, she's a go-getter. I said, very good. I hire in my team people that are smarter than me. I do whatever it takes to get my job done. So now, over the years, I have built a listening ear. Initially, it was very hard for me to listen because I was so brimming to tell what I felt like. You know, I have been in meetings as a younger employee where people were giving gems of ideas and I could have done so much with it. But in those meetings, I was so believing in my own thought and I was so passionate about what I had to say. I just kept waiting for my chance to come so I can speak and didn't hear anything. But over the years, I have learned to listen. And the reason I'm highlighting all this is leadership characteristics can be learned. You think you may not have some of them, doesn't matter. You can grow them. So once you have those characteristics, the few things, I'm going to not spend too much time on this, you have to build content. Whatever your subject is.
What am I doing?
Again, Peter Drucker says for any company, there are three things which are most important. Development, finance and marketing. Whichever part you are in, you need to build your content expertise. Whatever is the area. You need to create and recognize opportunity. So many times, you heard opportunity doesn't knock twice. Which means, if you are aware of 5% of, I have this, why am I using my hand? 75% of most of my team's time and mine goes in doing such tasks, which are not the most complex, not the most challenging, but guess what? Are value to my company. But what I tell them, there are folks who spend 100% of their time here. 80%, 90% successful people. What I tell them is, you've got to create excitement here, make some automation, get rid of the boring task, find innovation, and move 15, 20, 25% of your time here. It's up to you. Up to you with help from your management. And you can only do it if you understand the adjacencies of your business. You are responsible to create the fun in your life. This is what is happening in Intel, and I believe generally this is true with most companies. So, I told you, leadership is absolutely required for a company to be successful. Your company, my company, we are not non-profit organization, we care about profits. So innovation is absolutely key. The second function, which Peter Drucker says is important, everything else is expensive, is innovation. Now in India, at least I see from Intel and so many other companies that I have talked to, everybody wants to do, this groundbreaking, cutting edge, very futuristic innovation. In Intel, we make transistors which are nothing but switches. We make transistors faster and smaller, less leakier, so your phone or laptop can have a better battery faster, so you can access data faster. That's clearly a very challenging task, a lot of innovation there. What people forget is there is so much innovation in your basic tasks. Remember I said 75% of your tasks is those boring tasks? There's so much innovation possible there. Rather than find challenging activities, which everybody recognizes. Remember I said you have to recognize opportunity? Challenging activities everybody knows. But what is important is find challenge in the activity you are doing. Not just challenging activity. Challenge in the activities you're doing. Make the boring tasks exciting. And then create time for yourself, which you can do clearly groundbreaking or exciting activities. Having said that, I'm going to show you another analysis. This is called Doblin analysis. Again, I'm going to share these foil sets with Vishal, so you can see what it is. But this was very interesting, and I feel that is very applicable to your company. The innovations, according to this Doblin analysis, has been broken into 10 different types of innovations. Innovations in the finance area, I'll build this for you, you can see more of it, process, product and delivery. Business model, networking. Can you partner, can you do things where your enterprise can make more money? Let's say you are getting into hospitality, you partner with some spa and give something additional advantage. So that is partnering, which will up the value of your organization, of your company. Think of those innovations. Think of process. How are you working? Can you change your process in a manner fewer handshakes are involved? Find innovation in how you are doing your activity. Most of the time, people spend their innovations here. What are you doing? The product that you are building, not the process. That's where most of the innovations are coming from. And then delivery. How are you, delivering your product through channel, through brand, through customer experiences? Innovations are happening in that area. But before I move, ideas are all good. Unless you implement it, it's no good. It's dime a dozen. And remember what Gandhi said? He says what he feels and he does what he says. So does part is very, very important. Look at the interesting thing that I was talking to you about. Volume of innovation efforts over the last 10 years. Very little, low in the finance area, partnering, sharing. Equally low in the process, outsourcing, doing things like that. Maximum in the product space, some amount in the delivery. That's the effort that so many companies have spent in innovation. So guess what? Where the money is coming from? I know this was very exciting for you guys. Bulk of the money, where is the value coming from? Bulk is coming from finance. How are you partnering with other companies to up your own value?
Sorry, what was the previous slide? This is value.
Yes, effort. For example, how many innovations were done in these areas? And then what is the ROI? What value did it bring to your company? This. Look at this. Almost the lowest. But guess what I was telling you in the quadrants? It's the most exciting. So we want to do more of this. And remember I said, when you think innovation, think business. If you think business, you spend a lot of time here and here. Process is equally important. What I told you, your life can be exciting if you make some of the things that you do more automatic, more fun. So bulk of the money is here, least here, and then remainder in the other two places. So innovation is ideas plus implementation. So many times, innovations in my mind, I use it synonymous to risk taking. So if you are thinking risk taking, there's going to be probability of failure. But if there is probability of failure, you have to engage, you and your manager has to engage that this is something we are doing and it might fail. So in I think 1953, Shell, correct me if I'm wrong, in 1953, when the American Airlines president and the IBM, some salesperson, some VP got together, how much was that first saver costing? In today's value, $500 million. I did the calculation of the rate of change. It was 40 million then, it means $500 million now. It was 400 man years then. I'm saying people are smarter, tools are better, a lot of things. Maybe less than 400, maybe even 200 to 300. But that's the amount of risk you have to take. $500 million and 200 to 300 man years worth of effort. That's the risk those two guys took to create this company, which was 4 years ago, $3 billion. I'm really hoping you are doubled That's what it takes. That's the risk that you have to take. So just to summarize, share with you some leadership.
I have a question coming
Yes.
back to previous slide. So
Yes.
where is Intel focusing on?
To be honest,
Products.
yeah. I am struggling to get my top-notch guys. I'll give you one example, and you will smile because you know who I'm talking about. I have one amazingly strong analog circuit card. You know, digital circuits toggle between 0 and 1. It's either off or on. Analog circuits have a continuous life. They are on, more on, more on, more on, all the way till 1. Analog circuit is quite complex. I have one guy in my team. He wants to work on the most complex analog circuits, whereas value can come from a very simple analog circuit that can generate a lot of value for our products, can reduce the power by half. But this guy tells me everything. But an LDO is just like an inverter. You take a 0, make it 1. It's that simple a design. See, how does it matter? If an inverter is saving half power of this platform, it shouldn't matter. I'll give you some exciting extra projects to do at home, but for the company, please do this inverters. He likes to think this. And it's a little bit of process change, and he puts just a little voltage regulator, like we have in our homes, in the circuit, and reduces the power. So Intel, and that's the mindset we have to change. We are living here. I keep telling, in my conversation with my friends and my husband, that Intel chose to stay inside this kind of a room, not very many windows. Outside changed for us. We kept focusing, looking inside. So I really liked it when shared analysis is outward in. That's what we have to do. Look at who is doing what outside the window, check out. Does mix even matter? We kept on following frequency. People are looking at usages. So we were inside the room. So you have to get outside views in. You have to be looking at outside. You have to be looking at environment. So talk about leadership characteristics, those 5 values. Remember the energy, the engagement, the passion to do what you're doing, etc. Variables of development. Only one thing I want you to remember is passion and communication. I shared with you the one graph that I created for my team, but that's the reality of life. You create innovations yourself and move your life from boring mundane tasks to something exciting, move to that quadrant. I shared with you what are the different types of innovations, and I'm encouraging and urging you to look at other ways of innovating, not just keep on making your code faster, better, less storage, etc. I shared with you value of innovation, but I want to leave you with, again, many leaders talk about innovation, but how do you stimulate that culture? Because innovation is all about people and mindset. And it is up to good leaders to make sure they value innovation, they respect, regard risk-taking. Only then your corporation will have the mindset for innovation, which ultimately turns into more customers. The last thing I have is your company. Oops. It's where I live. Is there a partnership possible? Let's use leadership and innovation. And 60 years later, IBM and American Airlines did it. Can Sabre Holdings and Intel do something? I talk about perceptual computing. I talk about augmented reality. I talk about, an augmented reality of me in Goa. Lots of things are possible. I wanted to leave you guys with that. Thank you very much, and I'm definitely open to questions.
good session.
Thank
So
you.
when you opened up a partnership between the internet stable, I thought, get there. Do you use a get there?
Yes.
Okay, then there is already a partnership is happening.
Remember the value. What's the value?
Hey, it's a little.
Why speaking small? Think big. Get into tens of millions of dollars. You are already equal to Intel. I wanted to beat us. There's so much value in usages. The whole world is around usages today. So get there is one, but there can be many more possible. I want a Sabre X.O defined. And I want augmented reality. I want to experience Antarctica before going there. Can you give me that? Let's use cloud, let's use hardware, let's use your software and make me feel like Antarctica. That's good idea. Huh?
No, we have something called virtual meetings. Maybe that will give you some kind of an experience.
You're funny. We also have telepresent. We use Cisco. We have a round table. I have more than that. Any other questions? Guys, I'm going to be as candid as possible, so you are free to ask me anything. And by the way, I love the fact that you have far too many women than what I have in my team. So good job. Diversity focus. I like it.
So you said about passion, right? So you said you've been there in incorporated with Intel for a long time. But what keeps you motivating, having the passion all the time, but without, as you say, finish the 5 fundamental things. And you showed us a graph about how do you create the challenges and all stuff, right? Working with connecting to business, to have the innovative ideas, to bring it, to face the challenges with the right people to get your ideas implemented. That keeps you motivated and get the challenges right.
Very true.
So what happened, like, if you are passionate, but you still are struggling a lot to convince people, as you say, you are always, any person get affected with some negative feedback or something, so it will be always looking as a positive aspect, right? But do you see what is your career showed you in your kind of passion versus,
Yeah.
is the passion always been there?
I'm a very passionate person. That is very true. I love doing whatever I do, whether it is singing or dancing, I still love doing that. It started with my mother forcing me, so I have to share the story. I have so many stories to share. I told you I was forced into dancing and music, but the story is about the elephant, a baby elephant. Okay? The baby elephant has a ring of metal tied, and he's tied to a wall, a very weak wall, or perhaps even wooden shafts like this dug in the ground. That's how the baby elephant is tied. So he tries to pull, he can't walk. He grows up, the guy has the same ring and the same chain and the same fence. He's full-blown, maybe 400-pound elephant, same chain, same thing, same fence. He is getting up, he's used to the fact, he's trained that I'm not supposed to pull it. He can do it in 1 minute. So what happened is, I did not like music, but I started loving it. It was forced on me, I started loving it. I realized, man, is 1 hour of my master G coming. I can make it better. I started questioning, can I sing this song versus that? Can I do this rag versus that rag? I found a happy medium and I started liking singing certain songs, and my master G was okay with that. In my Indian world, what I have done, I'll tell you very honestly, and it's not easy. You're very, very right. 7 years ago when I came, I really thought that such a senior person who spent 16, 17 years in Intel already is being asked to just do expense reports because all the decision was made in US. I had a team back then, about 100 people, no ownership of any IP. 2 guys here doing one little thing, 3 guys there, 4 guys there, 10 guys there. 15 different IPs, I owned nothing. Nothing at all. I'll tell you now what the situation is. And in between is a challenge, and in between is the opportunity for leadership. Now, I own only 4 IPs, and I own all of them, and I do the roadmap of all of them. How it happened? It was not easy. Was I going to be getting ownership for any of the 12 things that I was working on 7 years ago? No. Because there in US or in Israel, there were people who had done this for 15, 20 years. India was a new site. What will happen to those experts? I am thinking Intel Corporation, and not just expertise. There was no way in hell they were going to give me that ownership. So what I did is I looked outside the window, I looked at the adjacencies, and I created at least 2 different IPs that I own today. Nobody was the owner, nobody was the expert. It was so hard, I swam against the tide to prove to people the value of that IP. 2 of them. But today, they are POR in most all products. Today, if I don't give those IPs, our products are not competitive. So, you have to create new opportunities if people are not going to give you. Because there are 2 things that people suffer from. One is not invented here, so they don't value. Second thing is they consider themselves smarter than you. They have been there longer. India, what? 75% of India is less than 35 years of age. There, it's reverse. So they have the benefit of age. So fighting those 2 things were like swimming against the tide. But what helped me was persistence, passion, and communication. I was willing to beg and argue with anybody. And there was so much arguments, there was so much politics, there was so much fight. Sleepless nights, meetings, middle of the night, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. I'm not going to give it up. Why? Because I was a leader of my team that I was responsible to grow and make them happy and excited. I get the best performance if the team members love doing what they do. And sometimes you have to make changes. There may be things that one person doesn't like doing. Can I find him an opportunity within the corporation where his liking is, you can move him there. So after a lot of trials, we have to make changes also if things don't work in the end. Because in the end, half-hearted work is below average or average. It's a long answer, but I'm not sure you can answer.
Thank you for your insights, Nidhi. In a business context, typically an idea is actually valuable. Only if it is
implemented. And you can get money for it.
Yes, absolutely. But part of that, the innovation process in a business context is also about discovering the right kind of problems to solve. What are your thoughts around that?
Very good. So I'm telling who this guy was, some Chinese leader. He said, a leader's role is not to do things right. A leader's role is not to do things right, but find the right things to do. So leader's role is to look at a long-term vision and start finding things which will be right for our corporation and we will be able to monetize it. That is a challenge, but for that you have to have an outside, outward-in kind of perspective.
My name is Karthik, and
Karthik?
I have a question regarding how you were speaking about the outward-in philosophy. You speak about the outward-in philosophy, and
by the way, that word was coined by your managers.
So the question as such is, I read a book by Andy Grove. He had spoken about inflection points. So did you, in your career, see any inflection? How do you recognize inflection points? Because, for example, you were speaking about Intel not being there for tabbies.
It's an inflection point for us. We've got to do something different.
So as a leader, how do you spot those inflection points? Has this?
See, from a very thousand
I guess the
feet.
question is, do you realize about them only in hindsight, or do you actually see those points come?
Okay, so I'll give you 2 points. One is, hindsight is easy. It's vision is 2020. Intel, that's what happened. We were making, I'll tell you, $40 billion was our revenue. We were not able to, break that. We broke 40 to 50 in the hardest times. We did not celebrate $50 billion. Why? Because we knew that it was the inflection point, market was changing outside of us. We actually looked outside to realize things are not the same. So what, we got 40 to 50, but tomorrow is not rosy. So hindsight, we did. But a good leader's value is in being able to identify sooner. Very few people are able to do that, but in order to be able to do that, the adjacencies is what I talked about, is absolutely critical. People that are looking at adjacent businesses, not just living in Sabre Holdings, looking outside what is happening, who can I partner with, looking at all possible innovations, those are the ones who have already thought of 3-4 things. When inflection point happens, they pick 1-2, because it's means, I think 2 different things interacting. So they already have a few things ongoing. They look, bulk of the focus, 70-80% is on the bread and butter business. That brings electricity to your home. But they always spend 20-30% of their focus on these new things. So inflection point comes, they already have ideas. Any other question? I will get to that. I want to hear some questions from beautiful ladies here.
Hi, because of innovation and there was this particular program that is being quite expanding and thinking about to work on medical persons, what is planning the company. But don't you think that in order to bring in the intellectual capital, we investing 10 such projects in order for one project to go into production?
Absolutely.
And like for a company like this, extremely mature in order to adapting what that huge intellectual capital. What is your hit ratio in terms of this? I mean, how much you invest on just
I do. So to be honest with you, I'm like a startup company here in India. I do not have the deep pockets that Intel Global has. So I am a big risk taker. I was lucky that 2 out of 3 projects became a success. But I am currently investing much more than I should. And how I'm doing it is not because I have 2x the resources, but I'm generating 2x worth of work by exciting and motivating people. So many times, my staff comes to me and say, I need 5 more guys. I tell them, wait, I don't have 5 more guys for you, but here is a compelling vision I can show you. We can be in that state. By the time they leave, their motivation level is so high, they forget about the 5 resources and get what? Guess what? They do it with whatever they have. They go back and excite the people that they have. Bring the motivation level high, create a challenge, and trust me, productivity of people is marvelous. But unless you excite, has anybody heard of Maslow's pyramid?
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. You guys are pretty well read. So Maslow's pyramid is what I believe in. When you have, accomplished the basic needs, that is when your productivity is going to be so high that you spend 2 hours, you give me worth of 4 hours worth of work. That is what my goal as a leader is. Paint a beautiful, compelling picture such that if you show that vision to the team, the whole team is running towards that. They want to go there and win. That's the mindset. The biggest challenge in leadership and innovation in stimulating the kind of feeling mindset for innovation. And it is up to leadership to create that. It's not easy. You are role models. You have to recognize innovation, reward innovation. No questions from the demo? Okay.
Any other question? One last question from anyone at the back or the middle folks? All right. Okay.
So, you know me already. So.
Yes.
So I just wanted to know what kind of problems you're facing with the. I've seen your tablet on the stands, and I've seen that the software what you're using is completely at a different level from the other tablets what we use. I was just wondering, what are the? You were saying that you have to communicate more in the market as a product. I mean, as a hardware company yourself. You have to go out to the company, go out to the market and then communicate more and get more inputs from other environments. Like you were saying that.
Yes.
So what is the difficulty you're facing and what is the major here in the tablet section per se?
So I'm going to make it a little more general. Tablet, phones, even laptops.
Right.
The hardest.
Not PC centric.
Yes, not PC centric. We call it system on chips. The hardest challenge is to translate the usage into technology. You know, like I told you, the usage is I want to experience Antarctica before I go to Antarctica. I just told you the usage. Now, what technology am I going to use to make that usage a reality? That is the most challenging part. And technology such that I don't spend so much more in it, but I can amortize and I can make money out of it. So the technology has to be cheaper. Apple has the benefit of charging much more margins, even though Samsung is double the volumes of smartphones.
So you're saying that you will translate it internally, or
no. Internal, they would still be doing frequency. So we know beyond the sea, there is a law of diminishing return, right? If I kept on doing frequency beyond a certain time, you don't care that your Outlook opens this fast. You don't really care. It's good enough for me. So the good enough was the concept that was not ingrained in us. We were always looking at one generation ahead technology. We even have a acronym for that. We call it OGA. We are one generation ahead in process, one generation ahead in architecture. But that's not what people want. That's not what they are willing to pay for. So understand the usage, which always comes outward in. Usage always comes from customers. Customers are the one who will be paying for the product that you will sell, and that's what you're going to make your company successful. So for us, the challenge is translating usages into cheaper technologies, such that we can make some amount of profit out of it. So far, we've been very lucky. 50% margins is what we have thrived on. Days are different. Days are volumes, higher volumes, lower margins. But even those lower margins are getting tougher because of so much competition. So, usage into technology and cheap technology is one of our biggest challenges. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. I really hope, at least you'll remember one thing what I said, and that will be worth the 100 hours that you guys spent here. Thank you.
Guys, I would like to just take you back to 1.5 weeks earlier when I was when we started the process of talking with Nivruti, and I was like prepared for my 1.5 minute talk, not on the second one, because I was very well knowing that I was going to talk to one of the topmost executives in tech. And I began talking with her about how we have launched these initiators of wisdom within and outside, and I wanted to keep it really, really brief because I knew that probably this person was not really interested in knowing what we were doing in the organization, and she was just interested in the reason why I had literally called her. But when I started talking with Nivruti, the amount of interest that she took in what I wanted to tell her in terms of the wisdom within, outside, in, and she asked me questions, and at that moment I knew that here was a leader who was willing to kind of not only share her thoughts, but also give a very, very patient listening ear. And I think, that was the starting point of the entire engagement process, and that is culminated in the talk this evening. I think, be it the story of Gandhi, be it the dimension of leadership that she talked about, the McKinsey survey, and how the entire of the concept was not a dry concept, but the kind of the way she peppered it up with stories, anecdotes, her own experiences, be it the Inesta launch and all of those kind of things was really, really phenomenal. I really like that point when you are just in the starting phase of your career, when you filled up your focus survey with not what I did, but what we did, you know, that entire thing about that was something that was hilarious. And the entire concept about listening and how a leader needs to be a good listener as much as a good communicator. You talked about the quadrants of alignment, how it is important to have the value for the company as well as the personal satisfaction, and how you can bunk it up to the first quadrant of really that win-win situation and innovation. If you thought you can keep this one idea in mind, that it is not so much about the challenging activities, but also about challenge in the activities that you're doing that can bump you up to that quadrant number one. She also kind of gives that beautiful challenge that maybe 6 years down the line, Sabre and Intel could be working maybe on an augmented reality. But I think one thing, if I were to kind of place my finger on one thing, that really appealed to me is the amount of research that Nivruti has put in to come and speak with us today. She had absolutely no reason of connecting her talk with whatever she was going to talk with respect to our own reality, and she did that framework. Whether it was a calculation of $500 million that probably could have been put onto the table with that conversation that we had in person and American Airlines was having, or the kind of connection of the dots that were happening between leadership and innovation, I think that exemplifies the kind of quality of preparation and the passion with which a person can put in for a small little talk like this. I think you exemplify every single word that you have said, Nivruti. Thank you so much for being
So I think the buzzword today was risk-taking, Nivruti, and I think I took the biggest gamble, right? Because I've never heard you speak. We've never ever talked about business,
Yes.
right? But I think that gamble really paid off handsomely.
Thank you very much.
But I think there is a moral, a good thing out of that. There's always a moral story, right? And the thing is, I always view Nivruti as an accomplished homemaker, and the way she interacted with us, and the friendship we have, Sonali and me, with Sunit and her husband, right? But I think it's very important, and I think it really solidifies the view that being really accomplished outside of work, tells you that you probably do a kick-ass job at Intel, or in the work you do, right? Whereas the other way around, usually you can never be sure. But I think this is a great example of that. Being so accomplished in singing, dancing, and in just the way you build your family, kind of just implies that you do a great job doing that. And that was clearly shown in this application.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you
really
very
don't
much.
think I deserve that much. But
And I think we have something for Nivruti, Aarti. I guess we'll do that over chai. Okay, so there's some good chai there. I know you're a big fan of good tea, so I've made sure to call the best chai in ITPL. Actually, it is true, by the way. So if anybody wants to ask me later, I will give you I will tell you where the best chai you get in the campus. Thanks a lot.